I tested 18 productivity habits that doubled my output while working fewer hours. These aren't hacks. They're solutions to 6 specific problems your brain keeps running into. Think of them as an instruction manual for your own brain. So let's start. Problem 1. Constantly running out of energy. So a few years ago, I felt like I was just exhausted all the time, working long hours. Trying to be always switched on was taking a toll. And I kept crashing, like completely useless by evenings. I thought I just needed more coffee or better sleep or something. Then I learned about these Ultradian rhythms. Apparently, our brain runs on these 90 to 120-minute waves before it naturally crashes into a recovery phase. And I realized that I was fighting it the entire time. No wonder I felt like garbage. Habit 1. I started working in 90-minute sprints. So here's what I do now. One 90-minute block of actual focused work, then I stop. Even if I'm in the middle of something, I take a real break of 15 to 20 minutes, and I don't use it to scroll on phone. Instead, I take actual breaks, like walking outside or just staring at nothing. My brain needs to reset. And after that break, I'm way better than the burned out version trying to push through. Many elite athletes, professional musicians, and even kindergarten teachers use 90-minute blocks. This is because both children and adults struggle to maintain attention for longer periods. Kids openly check out, while we adults often pretend we don't. Here's what happens if you don't do this. When you work beyond 90 minutes without stopping, your brain starts accumulating this metabolic waste. Literally waste products just sitting there. Your stress hormones spike. Your performance tanks. So tomorrow, try one 90-minute sprint. Phone in another room. Email closed. Just one thing. Habit 2. I stopped fighting my natural clock. Second thing I figured out, I'm not an early morning person. I spent years trying to be, forcing myself to do hard work at 5 a.m. Everyone in my family was an early riser, so it got drilled into my brain that it's the best habit to have. But things changed when I learned about chronotypes. Turns out like only 15% of people are morning larks. Those who naturally feel most energetic early in the day, also only about 15% are night owls. Turns out 70% are somewhere in between. Which is me. Fighting your chronotype absolutely kills your productivity. Like you're working twice as hard for half the results. So I stopped scheduling my day based on when I should work, and started scheduling based on when my brain actually works. For me, that's like 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's when I do the hard analytical stuff. Routine tasks, I do those when my brain is already tired anyway. Turns out, 90 minutes of work when your brain is actually on is worth way more than 3 hours of forcing it when you're already fried. Figure out when you naturally feel alert. Then protect that time like it's sacred. Habit 3. I stop mid-flow on purpose. This one felt wrong at first. Ernest Hemingway used to stop writing mid-sentence when he still had energy and knew what came next. I thought that was insane. But then I tried it, and it effectively changed how I start the next day. See, I used to work until I was completely depleted. Then I'd shut down exhausted. But the next day, I'd have to rebuild momentum from zero. That meant spending a good chunk of the first hour just trying to pick up momentum. But when I stop mid-flow with a clear understanding of what's next, I come back the next day already energized. No ramp-up time. I just sit down and keep going. So now I stop at an interesting point, leave notes on what comes next, and I'm actually excited to come back to it. So that's the energy problem solved. Work in 90-minute sprints. Align with your natural clock. Stop mid-flow. Once I fixed this, I stopped feeling constantly exhausted, but then I ran into the next problem. Problem 2. I was bleeding willpower on stupid decisions. So even after fixing the energy thing, I kept hitting this wall. I'd start the day ready to crush it, then waste an hour just deciding what to work on. I was struggling with decision fatigue more often than I'd care to admit. Here is how I look at it. Every choice you make drains this battery you didn't even know you had. And I was draining mine on complete nonsense. Habit 4. I make my big 3 decisions the night before. Here's what I do now. Before going to bed, I make my 3 biggest decisions for the next day. These are the 3 things that actually matter. I write them down. This makes my next day's morning automatic. Most people waste their sharpest mental energy deciding what to work on. By the time they start, they're already running on fumes. I front-load the decision so execution is automatic. Habit 5. I automate my recurring decisions. Second thing I realized, there were many recurring decisions that I made every single day. Stuff like what time to work out or meal menu. These aren't one-time decisions. They're recurring decisions disguised as new ones. So I created default protocols and put them on my calendar. I decided these things once. Now I just execute the protocol. Every default protocol eliminates dozens of daily micro decisions. That's brain power I can now spend on actual creative work. Habit 6. I use if-then plans for almost everything. This one's backed by over 100 studies. If-then planning basically doubles your success rate. Instead of "I'll exercise more," I use this format. If it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5:30 p.m., then I go to the gym. The specificity just cuts through procrastination. You're not deciding anymore, you're following the plan. Another one that works wonders for me is, if I sit at my desk to work, then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. What I realized is that if there is zero ambiguity, then there is zero decision fatigue, and all energy is now directed toward execution. Habit 7. I always define the next action. Last thing I do before finishing any task, I define the exact next action. For example, not finalize the script. Use Notebook LM to create a mind map to visualize the script flow. That's an action, crystal clear. So when I sit down to do that, I don't waste 15 minutes figuring out what to do. I read my next action and immediately start. This habit has a 30x return as it takes me just 30 seconds to write it down, but saves me 15 minutes the next day. Now, these 4 habits stopped my willpower from bleeding out on trivial stuff, but then I noticed this weird memory thing happening. Problem 3. My brain kept obsessing over unfinished stuff. Alright, so even with energy and decisions handled, my brain was still a mess. I'd be working on one thing, but thinking about multiple other things. Then I learned about this thing called the Zeigarnik effect. Turns out your brain remembers incomplete things way better than completed ones. And I realized my brain was tracking like 50 open loops at once. Remember that Hemingway habit? That's a controlled open loop. But I had dozens of uncontrolled ones draining my brain constantly. No wonder I couldn't focus. Habit 8. I touch it once or not at all. This habit helped me to stop creating unnecessary loops in the first place. I realized that every time I started something without finishing it, I was creating that Zeigarnik tension. So I became very intentional about what things I touched. For example, if I am doing deep work, I avoid peeking at my phone or checking my emails, because doing so created unnecessary open loops that diminished my focus. So I switched to one-touch done habit. Open the email, make a decision right then. Respond or ignore it. One touch. I'll do it later is a lie I used to tell myself constantly. Later rarely comes. And when it does, I waste time reloading the context. Now I either handle it completely or don't touch it at all. This one change stopped me from creating dozens of unnecessary mental tabs. Habit 9. I start things for just 5 minutes. Now here's where the Zeigarnik effect becomes useful, but only for your top priority tasks. When I find myself avoiding something important, I commit to just 5 minutes. That's it. My brain opens this loop that naturally wants to close, and then I find myself thinking about it later, wanting to finish it. Apparently, people are like twice as likely to remember unfinished tasks, which means your brain is working on it even when you're not. That's free background processing. But here's the key difference. This is one intentional loop on something that actually matters, not 50 random things competing for attention. I'm giving my brain one clear thing to chew on in the background. 5 minutes to start. Let your brain do the rest. Habit 10. I have a completion ritual. When I finish a task, I mark it complete. I delete it from my calendar or mark it physically if I wrote it down. Then I say "done" out loud and close my laptop with intention. Sounds silly, but it creates psychological closure. Without a clear signal, my brain keeps tasks partially open. That's mental weight I don't need. The ritual closes the loop cleanly. My brain fully releases it and moves to the next thing. Habit 11. I do a brain dump every night. 5 minutes before bed, I write everything down. Everything on my mind, including worries and random ideas. All of it gets documented. That Zeigarnik effect? It runs all night if you let it. The brain dump habit stops it by closing all the open loops. If you are trying this, there is something to note. The 5-minute starts are for tasks I chose to work on. The brain dump is for everything the anxious brain is tracking that it shouldn't be. Plus, when you write things down, you realize half of them aren't even important. Problem 4. I couldn't focus for more than a few minutes. Alright, so energy was handled. Decisions were automated. Memory loops were closed. But I still needed to fix my focus issues for good, because whenever I'd sit down to work, I'd find myself drift, even after removing digital distractions. Habit 12. I batch tasks by their energy type. I realized that I used to jump between different types of work constantly, and I'd lose like 40% of my time just refocusing after each switch. Now I group tasks by the kind of mental energy they need. So when my brain is sharp, that's when I do the hard stuff. Things like strategic thinking or creative work that need real brain power. That's also the time when I do my top 3 tasks of the day. My afternoon, I know that my energy is medium at best. That's when I switch to emails, meetings, and coordinating with people. And when I'm already tired, that's when I do the mindless admin stuff. This kind of batching stopped me from starting 3 things and finishing none, because I'm not constantly yanking my brain between different mental modes. Habit 13. I use music to trigger focus states. I had always found my taste of music to be a reflection of my mood, so I built this habit leveraging that. Since different tasks need different mental states, I created 3 playlists. For deep focus work, instrumental only. No lyrics competing for brain space. For routine tasks, upbeat stuff that keeps my energy up. For creative work, either silence or just ambient noise. After a few weeks, just hearing those first notes triggers the right mode. I'm not forcing myself to concentrate. My brain automatically shifts into the state I've trained it for. It's like Pavlov's dogs, but for productivity. Problem 5. My thoughts were killing my output. Even with everything else working, my biggest challenge was that my brain would spiral into these stories that I made for myself. Stuff like, I can't do this. This is too hard. Or I'm gonna fail. And I'd just freeze. Then I learned something interesting. Perception controls your output way more than actual reality. Habit 14. I talk to myself in third person. This sounds weird, but it works. When I'm stuck, I refer to myself by name during self-talk. There's research that explains why this works. Apparently, when you talk to yourself like you're someone else, your brain switches modes. It stops drowning in emotion and starts problem solving. Ever realize how it's easier to guide a friend in need? But when it comes to oneself, our thoughts get all foggy and confusing. It's exactly like that. When I'm stuck in first person, I'm just pure emotion. I can't do this. I'm gonna fail. That's my panic brain talking. 0 solutions. But when I switch to the third person, I access my rational brain, the part that can actually think. I make decisions way faster now. No more spiraling for hours. Habit 15. I balance optimism with obstacle planning. Years ago, I saw The Secret, and I was convinced about the power of positive visualization. I'd practice it and imagine the outcome, and feel great about it. But then I'd never actually do the work. Turns out there's research on this. Purely positive visualization feels so good your brain thinks you already succeeded. So it stops trying. Now I do mental contrasting instead. First, I imagine the outcome and how good it'll feel. Then I deliberately think about the obstacles I'll hit. Then I make if-then plans for those obstacles. For example, if I feel too tired after work, then I'll just do 5 minutes. This really helped because I'm not blindsided by predictable problems anymore because I planned for them before they showed up. Habit 16. I ship at 80% instead of polishing forever. I got this from my wife. I had always felt uncomfortable signing off on things that are not 100% to my liking. I used to hold back work that was like 80% done, thinking it needed to be perfect. But she pointed out that nobody's examining it as closely as I am, and she was right. There's this study where students wore embarrassing shirts. They thought everyone would notice. In reality, most people didn't even see it. That's the spotlight effect. We think everyone's scrutinizing our work with the same intensity we do, but they're not. They're busy with their own stuff. Now I live by the mantra, done and shipped, beats perfect and stuck, every single time. Now I ship at 80%. Learn from the response. Iterate based on real feedback. That's how I actually make progress. Not by polishing in isolation until it's perfect, but by putting it out there and making it better based on what actually matters. Problem 6. My motivation kept disappearing. Even with all the systems in place, my motivation would just vanish after a few days. Then I'd rely on discipline and willpower to carry me through. But I prefer not to run on willpower forever. I needed automatic motivation. Habit 17. I pair hard things with things I actually want. There's this economist named Catherine Milkman who studied this. She found that pairing a should with a want increased gym visits by like 29 to 51%. I read this in Atomic Habits as well. It's called temptation bundling. So I designed a habit where I paired what I found hard with what I wanted to do. Now I do the dishes while watching a show that I like. I only listen to my favorite podcast while folding laundry. My brain started associating the hard thing with the enjoyable thing. Now I actually crave both together. Like, I'll want to do dishes because that's when I get to watch that show. I'm not forcing myself through the hard task anymore. I'm rewarding myself during it, not after. That's sustainable motivation. Habit 18. I vary my rewards. So my brain stays curious. Casinos figured this out decades ago. Variable rewards are way more addictive than consistent ones. Slot machines don't pay out every time. That's what makes them so compelling. So I don't reward myself the same way every time. Sometimes it's a coffee break. Sometimes a walk. Sometimes 5 minutes of YouTube. Sometimes nothing. The variability keeps my brain engaged. Consistent rewards get boring fast. Your brain adapts and stops caring. But variable rewards? My brain stays curious about what's coming next. It never knows if this task will get a reward or not, so it stays motivated throughout. Now pick your biggest problem, start there. Then move on to the next one.